Starting further afield, where opposition parties in South Korea are demanding the resignation of President Yoon Suk Yeol, and the sudden decision to impose martial law yesterday sparked political chaos in that country. Politicians rushed to parliament and voted to block the move before Yoon dramatically withdrew the order. We cross now to Gilbert Chris, SABC news correspondent, for more on this story. Chris, good morning. So quite a sudden turn of events, but what is the situation in South Korea right now?
Oh, yeah. Well, good afternoon from Tokyo, and good morning to everyone there. Well, the situation, as you mentioned, there are protests ongoing calling for the resignation of the president and the opposition parties who, remember, control parliament. The Yoon Suk Yeol, the president's party, only has a minority in parliament, and so therefore the party that controls the majority of parliament is set to file a motion of impeachment against Yoon Suk Yeol, the president, by Thursday. That vote is expected to happen within 72 hours after that. But, you know, there are calls for him to resign before then, to resign immediately. His chief of staff has already resigned. A number of secretaries have already resigned, high up the bureaucracy and secretaries of cabinet. You know, his own party is, if they weren't tense with him before this situation, are certainly livid with him now, because only reportedly the defense secretary inside cabinet knew of Yoon Suk Yeol's intention to declare martial law by decree. The rest of cabinet didn't know about it, and of course his own party were amongst the members who voted it down in Parliament in the early hours of Wednesday. And so it is an evolving situation, but all eyes now are on the future of Yoon Suk Yeol, but also the future of South Korea, which many experts are saying has not just embarrassed itself on the world stage, but shown to be politically, you know, the structural integrity of the polis is not entirely sound. And so it is an evolving situation for both the leaders and both the political structure of South Korea.
Chris, do we know what the catalyst was that sparked this sudden imposition of martial law?
Yeah, that's the $65,000 question, isn't it? Why? And especially why now? Because there are a number of pertinent and important social issues and social problems in South Korea, but the opposition party is saying and claiming that the country was not in a crisis that would have constitutionally warranted a decree of martial law. And so, you know, a number of experts are now even calling Yoon Suk Yeol's, you know, decision to you know, make this decree a political overreach. Some are even calling it incredibly stupid, because, as I say, you know, the Constitution, you know, ensures that Parliament needs to approve of any martial law decree, and on this occasion, the opposition party hold 56% of seats, and so it wasn't really going to get through unless the defense secretary and Yoon Suk Yeol intended for the military to take over parliament before then, which of course they didn't. They were turned back by lawmakers with fire extinguishers, and then you know, a number of protests against it put enough pressure to make sure that this vote successfully shot down the motion pretty quickly. And there's still a lot to be learned in the coming days and weeks about the motivation of Yoon Suk Yeol. He did say he was, you know, the country was in crisis and turmoil because of anti-South Korea or pro-DPRK or North Korea members in the opposition party, but that was not sufficient for the vast majority of the country and Parliament as well to back this decree for martial law, and the whole thing ended within hours.
And just finally, Chris, what has the impact been on the Korean Peninsula? And also, has there been any response from other Asian countries in the region?
Yeah, Japan has called it, you know, a regrettable decision, and says it's a tense situation. We've not had any response from South Korea's neighbours to the north yet. although usually state media announces these things in responses a day or so after these kinds of events, and so we're looking for that. But the military in South Korea is on standby for any response from North Korea, whether it be a political message or some kind of show of force, military force. But look, South Korea and Japan had been making, I guess you could say, amends over some historical disputes over the last year, but under Yoon Suk Yeol and previous Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, this has thrown the whole situation up in the air, and it's also raised questions about the future of the US relationship with South Korea as well, especially as Donald Trump looks to take office next month. So there are a lot of question marks and a lot of eyes watching the Korean Peninsula at the moment.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for that update. SABC correspondent speaking to us from Tokyo on those latest developments there in the Korean Peninsula.